How are we doing, folks? Today is Tuesday, January 21st. I am Anthony. This is Drive Dive. So if you're just tuning in, the focus of most of these videos in this series are all about really about productivity. And really even this was born out of my search for being more productive, finding times within my day where I could just get something accomplished, anything accomplished, and to feel that sense of, accomplishment. And so, I've been trying to find ways to either, listen to audiobooks or podcasts, and I recently gotten into YouTubing with my son, and I said, I have this 45 to 60 minute drive each day. That's a one-way drive, right? So double it. Where, I could easily record my thoughts and talk about my own journey with productivity, the various activities and things that I'm engaged in. And so that's what this is about. So I hope you're still watching and you tune in for the rest of this video, where I kind of make connections to James Clear's work titled Atomic Habits. And I guess what I'm touching upon today is he talks about in one of his chapters, I guess it's the 2-minute rule. No, it's not like the 5-second rule where, you drop some food and pick it up within 5 seconds. We assume it's cool and we eat it anyway. But rather it's about starting small. And instead of trying to tackle this lofty goal and incorporate this, major life change all in one step, he says, you can break it down into sort of a tiny baby version, a 2-minute version of it. So he provides a few examples where it's something like, I guess if you wanted to run a marathon, it's a very lofty goal. We're not just going to start, this crazy training program and get to running, miles, but instead breaking it down to a 5K, and then smaller than that, 10,000 steps, or smaller than that, just doing something like, walking for 2 minutes. If you are a sedentary individual and aren't that active, let's get moving. And so we can do that for 2 minutes at a time. And another example, I guess that he talks about even just wanting to get in shape. And so if you're not currently going to the gym, we're not going to adopt this hefty training regimen where we're in the gym for hours at a clip and days, 4 days out of the week, etc. But he says even just kind of forcing yourself to just get to the gym and be there for 2 minutes, or I think he says maybe like 5 minutes or something to that effect. But again, this small version of like going to the gym, spending 5 minutes there, and then leaving, just to form that habit. And he shares that maybe it was a client he was working with where they started doing that, and they got to a point where it's like, I was here for 5 minutes, and I'm coming here anyway. We may as well stay. We may as well get some work in. Get the extra workouts in, right? Longer workouts, multiple days, and then he was able to lose a significant amount of weight. This particular client of James Clear's. The curious example he provides, and I think I'll try to expand upon, is that he says that if it's your goal to be a better spouse, that I guess that's the loftier goal. You might regularly try to do something each day that makes your spouse's life easier. And he boils it down to the sort of 2-minute version of that being like meal prepping for next week. And it's puzzling to me. I'm not exactly sure what James means by meal prepping. Is that writing some ideas, dinner meals or food preferences for next week down on a sheet of paper? Is that doing some cooking and actually packing meals in Tupperware? Because to me that's the large regimen. That's the habit. That's the routine. The big healthy lifestyle goal that you're trying to boil down for 2 minutes. So that one might need some work, but the example of trying to be a better spouse is one that resonates with me. And in terms of the productivity and whatnot, that's something that's always on my list that I don't quite get to. My wife and I, we do have 2 children. We both work full time. I mentioned I have a long drive. Hers isn't short either. and we're both, she drops off our daughter, picks her up at the end of the day, and I do the same with my son. So, there's lots of just things going on, right? Never mind managing just a household, the chores and all. Our kids my son's 8. He's who I, drop off, pick up, and then our daughter's 2. So it's, we have our challenges. We have lots of things on our plates. There are things we like to do, right? I like to work out, and my wife does work a second job, I guess more or less as a hobby, but it's still time consuming. And so there's a lot going on, and she tends to be more of, an early riser, early to bed, whereas I'm up early in the morning too. Like, we're both up before 6 o'clock. I think she's maybe 5 o'clock, I'm 5:30. But then I end up being very much more so a night owl. And so, sometimes we don't overlap that way, and so it's just really hard to find the time, to devote to one another. And when you talk about productivity, yes, work is work, and hobbies are work, and even therapy is work, but relationships are work. You have to, I guess, invest the time and look at them as goals that we have to make progress on, areas in which we need to be productive. And so being that better spouse and having that lofty goal, it does need to boil down to maybe not even 2 minutes, but I don't know, like a 30-second rule, right? Just kind of check yourself, check your relationship, and I'll tell you, this is kind of where I'm at in where I am in our relationship. My relationship with my wife is, am I doing those little things? Am I saying good morning, right? Am I saying good morning when she walks in the door? Am I greeting her? A hug, a kiss, things like that. And then of course you could look at maybe the 2-minute thing, right? Of starting a load of laundry, of dropping clothes, from the washer into the dryer. There's lots of little things like that, right? Like, who gets the mail every day? I mean, that doesn't take forever. Those little things that do add up. Taking out the garbage isn't a very time consuming task, right? And so we can look at some of those things, these shorter steps. Oh yeah, okay, I can make 30 seconds, I can make 2 minutes, I can make 5 minutes, and then I think there's other little tidbits, in James Clear's book. If you're not familiar, I highly encourage you pick it up and either actually read it, or as I have, make use of your commute and listen to the audiobook. There's lots of little things where, then as I'm saying this whole 30-second, 2-minute, 5-minute thing, then there's all kinds of, habit stacking and such, where you can add some things on and it just becomes a cue, where, okay, now I've built up this habit of, the hug and kiss routine, right? When my wife comes home, maybe then it's okay. Well, when we're at the dinner table, let me make sure I ask about her day. Or maybe we can stack onto that, and we can, as a family, practice gratitude, right? Name some things that we're thankful for, or just say something nice about one another. I really like it when you. I love that you say. I love that you do. Things of that nature, right? So I think I mentioned, right, right. I have this 45 minutes of drive time. How can I get something out of it? Record a 10-minute video. Well, if we're gonna sit down, to dinner most nights, well, right, I mean, there's got to be some 30-second, 60-second period of time I can carve out, and say something nice to my wife that she and I can say, to each other, greet each other warmly, positively, etc. So being productive, I think, does depend on your goal. But as I think James Clear is illustrating in his chapter on the 2-minute rule, it's that you can start small. In fact, you ought to start small to develop, I think, what he initially in the chapter calls a ritual, right? Just this tiny little habit that can then grow and evolve into something larger. But you do have to take those initial baby steps, and I don't know if it's building up stamina and whatnot, but just building up the habit, the routine, and then, like I said, it'll grow and evolve into something bigger, something better, that much more closely resembles that loftier goal of, I guess in this case, being a better spouse. So that's it. Again, I encourage you to check out the rest of my videos, where I do, especially these drive dive videos, where I do try to get into this idea of productivity. I share some specific examples of the things that I dive into and try to accomplish with my time. And lately, reflecting on, again, James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, some of the strategies that he suggests, but then provide, some of the maybe specific ways in which they help me reflect on my habits, my routines, that of my children's, my wife's, and ultimately try to form better habits and kick some of the bad ones. But that's it. I appreciate you watching. Leave a comment. Hopefully you like this. Maybe subscribe to my channel. I look forward to speaking with you further, and have a great day.